Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome to the channel. Today we've got a fragrance from the house of Ormonde Jayne. So this should be some heat, even if we don't like it. Strap up.
Okay, I watch that head move side to side as I let this in into the room. You are on top, let's connect minds. Trying to get into a mood. We gon' be fine. Close up the blinds, no rush. Finish the food.
Alright, welcome to the Scent Bubble. I am your host for the evening. Today from the house of Ormonde Jayne, we are dealing with Tolu. Shout outs to all my Decant reviewers out there. I know there's a whimpering and whining out there. There seems to be some dong swinging going on in the community in regards to the implication that you must own a fragrance to review a fragrance. I think that's ridiculous. I don't even want to feel like I have to defend that. I think it's just blatantly obvious. I mean, that's like saying you have to take a fragrance home and wear it for a bunch of days before you even decide to buy it. I mean, everybody makes a decision on getting a fragrance off of what we're about to do right now, which is putting it on a test strip and putting it on skin. We don't have to sit there and travel with a fragrance to, cross the country, or wear the fragrance while playing a basketball game, or wear the fragrance while we're going out on a date to see if we want to get the fragrance. It's just utterly ridiculous. And the only people really complaining about people who decant and try to make a review off of a decant is reviewers. Now, what I think is the most stupidest thing about that argument is the fact that a lot of you guys who will sit there and say, here's the bottle, right? Oh, here's the bottle. You don't even have any juice gone in your bottle either. Before you do the review, you might have the bottle, but you've only used a couple ml, and now you've got a bunch to say about the fragrance. So what's the difference between me reviewing a 3 to 5 ml and you having 100 ml, but only 3 to 5 of it being used, and then speaking about it? And at the end of the day, who cares? Run your channel. We will run our channels. Now, you guys know me. I keep it so 1000 with you. If I thought there was merit in this argument, I would speak on it, but there just isn't, guys. I got hundreds of bottles. The fact of the matter is that sure, there might be some limitation as to what I can speak on, but everybody determines whether or not they're going to buy a fragrance off of a couple of minute encounter with a fragrance. 90% of people are not going to get the sample from the house or the Neiman Marcus or the department store and then go wear it for a full day and then come back and be like, yeah, you know what, I'm sold. We don't got time for that. We might walk around the mall. We'll put it on some skin. We get a good enough idea in the testing phase with a fragrance to know if we want to buy it. Now, do we ever buy it and then go home and realize we made a mistake? Sure, everybody does that. But as you educate yourself and you spend time trying fragrances and you see their habits and you do your research on the house and what their quality tradition is and all that stuff, you can make pretty solid decisions doing exactly what we're doing here today. I'm so sorry for wasting 4 minutes of time on this video. We could have broken it down in real lawyer fashion, but I just don't see the need to today. Let's jump into Ormonde Jayne. Lovely house. There's a gal that runs it. I think her name's Ormonde Jayne. Who knows? But nonetheless, it's based out of London. And they just put together some really good quality fragrances. I mean, this is high caliber niche at its finest. And the reason I said earlier before we transitioned into the intro that it's probably fire whether we like it or not is because I have a high respect for this house in the sense that even if it's something that I don't like smell-wise, I know the quality will be there without a doubt. And especially this fragrance, because I've heard a lot of people talk about this. This is like a ambery, balsamic, aromatic type of joint. We're going to go ahead and apply it on skin and on test strip, especially since we're dealing with niche quality. And mainly what I'm looking for in this testing phase, especially since I'm using this dropper, is to see if there's any kind of transition. So I'm going to talk about my initial impressions on the test strip, and then hopefully that gives us enough time to experience a little bit of the dry down. It's not going to be everything, but I think it'll be enough information for me to push you toward the fragrance or away from the fragrance. Now, again, in the air, I have this on so I don't get juice from the tester. We don't have a sprayer on it, so just making sure I don't get any excess on my fingertips and all that jazz. But in the air, you get this very slightly resinous, super warm ambery experience. It's even balsamic to me a bit, but you just get this radiant, super warm wine reduction kind of amber with an undertone of what feels like a myrrh resin or some kind of balsam. I think Tolu would be Tolu resin. This is a parfum concentration, unisex fragrance. And it's nice. It's a pleasant, warm amber fragrance in a nutshell. There's a lot of gentle kind of beauty going on in the background, some powdery elements, some spicy elements. It is slightly sweet in a floral way, maybe like a 4 out of 10 sweetness, maybe a 5 out of 10. So yeah, it's warm amber that feels balsamic and resinous in the background, not too ancient or old-fashioned resin. It's very kind of like, just a hint of maturity in the backbone. It's got an elegance to it. This would work on a guy and a girl for sure. It's got a somewhat serious tone to it. And yeah, it's really nice. Would I drop $200-300 on this, which is what I think their retail is? I don't know. I mean, I dropped money on a fragrance like Equus, which is essentially a grapefruit amber vetiver fragrance, a similar vein as this. This is more kind of sweet, seductive, spicy, balsamic, but nonetheless, it's still very close. I think this also is very reminiscent of a lot of the vintage perfumery I've been coming across lately from Guerlain and Chanel, and even Estee Lauder. It has a vintageness to it, but it definitely is a modern finish. It just, as far as the scent profile is concerned, I think a lot of people have done this scent profile before, but nonetheless, it would be money well spent. Let's go ahead and transition and see what we're dealing with here with Tolu Parfum. Tolu is an exotic, I'm reading this right here for those of you guys who have to squint to see what I'm looking at. Tolu is an exotic fragrance based on Peruvian Tolu resin from a precious variety of tree in South America, laced with frankincense, there we go, and amber, and a heady mix of floral and herbal top notes. Tolu takes the wearer on a sensual oriental journey. I do feel the orientalness of it just with the spices and amber, a very classic combo. Top notes of juniper. Oh, wait, let's go to the notes here. Orange blossom, juniper, clary sage. Middle notes, orchid, rose, lily of the valley. Base notes, Tolu, amber, tonka bean, and olibanum. I get a ton of that base. It dries down to the base quite quickly. All of this floral herbaceousness on the top just kind of adds this kind of floral brush, but there's no doubt that 60 to 70% of this fragrance is this warm, radiant wine reduction-y Tolu and amber combo with a little hint of tonka and olibanum. Let's see what they say this is like, because I'm curious to see if they say it's like any of the old classics. So Absolute Rocus, which is an older fragrance, I believe. When did this drop? 2002. Dune, there we go. Dune from Dior for women. I definitely smell that. Cartier. Here we go. Chanel. Eccentric Molecules. Interesting. It's always good to look through this sometimes, because sometimes if you want this Tolu vibe, you could just look right here and be like, oh, okay, they said it's like Dune. Well, let's see what's in Dune to see how accurate they are. So, okay, you don't really get the Tolu, though, in here. So maybe I might go back and say, okay, let's look at this Rocus Absolute. Oh, there you go. Tolu, benzoin, labdanum. It's got florals in the mid similar to it. So it's probably pretty close, right? And then you could say, okay, well, how much is Rocus going for? Rocus got a 4.10 out of 5, so it's creeping into mass appeal territory. And let's see what it's going for on eBay. Oh, and then it takes me to Amazon and ruins my whole bit. Let's see. Rocus Absolute. Doesn't look like I'm finding it much here. Are we going to be able to find it? So Rocus Absolute is going for about... Oh, here, look. Oh, this is a 5 ml. Okay, so you could score it for about 40, 50 bucks here, it looks like, which is certainly cheaper than if we were to go with Ormonde Jayne's release. And again, you could have checked some of the other offerings, but let's just see what Ormonde Jayne's retailing at. $290 for an 88 ml. So this is a beautiful, quite simple, more traditional amber scent. I definitely think it's worth the money. You know, you're going to have moderate performance from a fragrance like this. This wears medium projection, medium sillage with, you know, definitely north of 6 hours of performance. I don't see it going beyond 8, and the votes don't reflect that either on Fragrantica. Very nice, seemingly traditional French perfumery type of scent, but it does have a little bit more of a modern finish, perhaps due to the florals and whatnot. But I have smelled this scent profile before. Even this fragrance I held up to the camera earlier, Couronne de Royal Bain de Couronne, which is like a splash fragrance. It bears some resemblance as well. That has a little note of peach, but I'm trying to think in my fragrance collection. Yeah, only some of my vintage really creeps into this category outside of maybe Equus. But Equus is more of a fresh kind of aquatic feel to the amber vetiver profile. It's not as syrupy as this. It is nice. Let's go through some usual suspects and wrap up since we're already at 12 minutes. I think this leans colder weather with a slight breeze, you know, that San Diego kind of 70, 80 weather. It can definitely go fall, winter, but I think it's a close quarter indoor daily driver type of scent. It's a bit romantic. It's a bit mysterious. It's alluring. It would go really great on women. I think for women, this feels like a north of 25-year-old scent, you know, just due to the maturity of the frankincense and the olibanum. I think this is unisex feminine leaning because it imitates a lot of feminine vintage perfumery, but I think men could definitely rock it too. It's just if a man wears it, it's clearly a more intimate, cozy setting. So I think it might shine fall, winter, indoors type of scent. I think the wind and the elements would totally evaporate this fragrance off of you, but I imagine the performance is still solid. It is a Ormonde Jayne fragrance. I think you could make a case for any season, any reason. You know, this is a cozy brunch, lunch type of scent to me, or just an intimate setting, you know, like a theater with your date or a restaurant or something, even just that warm amber. It definitely reads cozy, sensual, elegant, classy elegance. Men, it does have a maturity. Let's just say 25 up unisex. I do think it's feminine leaning though. We went through some of the occasions. Alternatives to this, I think Dune for men or women. Obviously Rocus Absolute. Anything in vintage, really. There's a lot of choices to choose from Chanel, from Rocus. What are some of the other ones? From Couronne. You can find some south of $50 fragrances that imitate this. So I would encourage you to go on Fragrantica and look at the votes to see what people voted on was similar. And I think whatever they say is similar, it must have Tolu, because I smell that Tolu balsam or resin or whatever very much a part of this fragrance. So I think without that, you get a slightly different, less intimate, less mysterious, spicy experience. But to each his own. I definitely think this is a solid fragrance. I would give it probably, if I had decimals, a mid-range 8, but because I round up or down, I would give it probably a 8, a high 8 if I could, but just a 8 for whole number's sake. I think it couldn't be a 9 because I think it lacks signature. It definitely feels like a repetitious concept that Ormonde Jayne kind of is like an ode or a reminiscence of classic French perfumery or something. It doesn't feel innovative. It doesn't have a lot of dimension to it. It's more of a mono note fragrance that celebrates Tolu and amber. But it's solid. The blend is absolutely perfect. What else do I want to tell you? I think that's it, to be honest. I'm sure there's some more pretty offerings from Ormonde Jayne, especially for women. This just feels very traditional to me. I'm not blown away, but it's got that Ormonde Jayne smoothness, that blend. It's elegant. It's everything that you want in a fragrance. There's just not a lot of wow factor. It's just like, man, you smell really good. But you're not going to get that, man, what are you wearing type of feedback, I think. But even that's subjective. Again, this was Ormonde Jayne's Tolu Parfum. I know there's some people in the community that have this, but apart from a simple review here or there, I don't hear many people mentioning this. So I think that's for good reason. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe. More importantly, turn on that notification bell. I do just want to say that it does lighten up quite quickly to about a 1 foot scent bubble, skin scenty type of experience. So far on my wrist, I did douse my hand quite a bit with this, but the scent profile doesn't change much. It just gets a little bit lighter and airier, but there's not a whole lot of transition to it. Again, I know I've said it before, but like, comment, subscribe. More importantly, turn on that notification bell. I drop episodes all the time, and I'm going to put links to 2 videos right here that if you like this video and this style of review, I've got some other reviews, game shows, and podcasts that you might be interested in. So definitely click over and stay a while. But I appreciate all of you guys and hope you have a blessed rest of your week. And until next time, SB signing out. Peace.